Welcome to the Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
With your hosts, Smokin, Silz, and Baumruck.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
Oh yeah, it is the Ref Room. Welcome. It is Wednesday. I am Smokin, Silz, along with Baumruck, and we got lots of hockey to talk about because I think the season has started. So
it has definitely started. Came out of the box hot.
Yeah, like big time, like intense. Like I don't remember it being as intense as I saw it over the weekend. How about you?
You know what? Everybody was ready to play. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Even in our timeout, let's put it that way now. We're not going to call it what we did before. Let's call it a timeout. The players, they weren't skating as much. So even when we came back and played some more organized stuff, even in the spring and whatever, the games were not nearly as intense. And we just had a showcase here. And let me tell you, everybody was geared up to play. Everybody was ready to go. It was absurd.
Wow.
So
yeah,
that's what I thought too. And I don't know if it's just because, the games were more relaxed or because, like I said, the players haven't ran with it. But now they have had a good, I'd say month of practice at the AAA level, and they're moving up and down the ice. Let me tell you.
Yeah. And man, some of these guys are friggin' huge. I don't know if they're living next to a nuclear power plant or what, but they're big. It's like you go over and see the coach. You see that guy? Keep him away from me. Put him on the other side of the ice, okay? Because they are huge and they are fast.
Well, some of these guys are getting so big. There was a coach. It was funny. We were just talking in passing about some prepping his players for the new hitting, emphasis, which isn't really new, but it's going to be new again. So we were talking, and he said, well, I got a question for you. I'm like, what's up? He goes, if I have a winger from the other team and they go coast to coast, goal line to goal line and score and pass two of my defensemen, but the guy's 6'6" and he blows by him and they fall down, he goes, I don't think that should be a goal. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, that's intimidating nature. He goes, that guy is way too big in order to be playing, and he made my guys look stupid when they fell down. He goes, that shouldn't be a goal. That should be intimidation. He should be put in the box. And I started laughing because I get his observation on a lot of things. And I thought it was very amusing that he even had that perspective of, well, the guy's huge, he's intimidating nature, because they're trying to remove all this intimidating stuff from the game. Yeah. And just that he would say that, I was like, oh man, you're onto something. I go, but I don't think it's going to work out that way.
I mean, even the minor bantams, they're huge. Forget the Bantam Majors. Bantam Majors are they're just gigantic. Some of them.
Yeah, there are a lot of big kids out there.
Defensemen, man. I'm not going and parking in front of the net. Not going to happen. Not on his watch, because these guys are huge. And you got some guys that can just rifle the puck. I mean, you want to talk about some snipers on the team? Wow, very impressive. Yeah. And they play hard. They play physical. And I guess. Talk to each of the coaches. We always have those friendly moments before the game. And if you're not doing that, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because it gives you a few moments to, be a person with them and interact with them, and had some great conversations. And I will tell you, we had former NHL players that were coaching out there, some guys that get the game, they understand it. And I think they're very reasonable. They know what to look for. They know what's supposed to happen out there. It's kind of cool. And, they certainly are giving back to the game, because I know they're not making what they were making as players.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, some of these guys were major superstars. But, going back to that, having the conversation with the coaches and, ask them, so, hey, what do you think of some of the new rules or whatever? And it was kind of interesting to get their perspective. I had a coach from Colorado. He didn't play in the NHL, I don't believe. But his first response was actually, we were playing with minute-and-a-half penalties. So we were playing 15-minute periods, minute-and-a-half penalties, 8 minutes for misconduct. But his feeling was he really hated the minute and a half penalty. He would prefer the 2-minute penalty. The reason being, he is getting so much flack from the parents because it's really only one shift for the power play. So a lot of the parents are complaining their kids not getting any power play time. Found that to be very interesting. Went down to the next bench. Same complaint from the coach. So I guess they're getting a lot of flack. One of the coaches told me that they play 16-minute periods during the season, and they are going to be playing 2-minute penalties. They're staying with the 2-minute penalty. They've already cleared that, and that's the way they're going to operate. But under the minute and a half, the parents were more upset that their little Johnny was not getting ice time. He wasn't seeing the ice on the power play. So that was a major complaint.
The interesting thing that you could have told them, though, and I don't think the coaches should be catching flack for that, but I'm sure they are. But you could have said to them, well, the good thing is it's only going to be a year you're going to deal with this. Because by the time, well, I mean, Bantam guys, maybe not, because the Pee-wees play with the 2-minute penalties too, don't they? Pee-wees and squirts. So I guess
I don't know. They're playing minute and a half. Everybody was playing minute and a half because everybody played 15 minutes across the board at all age groups.
Well, I think
at least
that
the
was
ones I worked.
I think that was just the showcase that was going on, because originally it was interesting because we got 2 emails about that showcase, which we're lucky that we got emails at all. So thank you, whoever got all that, sent it to us. But originally the first email said that they were going to do penalty shots.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then it came out that they were gonna serve penalties, but it didn't say a time, I don't think. So once I got there, they informed us it was a minute and a half, and I said, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it.
When we had the timeout, as you like to call it, when we had the timeout, a lot of times teams were going with the penalty shot until you got to the point where you had varsity and midget teams that were pretty intense and really didn't like each other, and you really needed to sit somebody. You needed to cool them down. The penalty shot wasn't going to work at that point because it's like these guys know each other. They need to chill out for a little while. And
sometimes sitting down for a couple minutes.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. It definitely settles them down. So let's talk a little bit more about some of this, because now I had one guy that was a legendary NHL player, legendary, and I'll even go a step further, legendary American-born player. That might tell you a little bit more, right?
Yeah, you told me.
Can I just tell you who it is?
That one, I think you could give him props.
Yeah. Okay. What was his name? He played for Vancouver. He played for Anaheim. Ryan. Oh shit! I can't think.
Wasn't it Kessler?
Kessler, yeah, Ryan Kessler. That's funny. Yeah, he was a really good player. See, I'm too busy giving him props to remember who he is.
That's
But
okay.
one of the things that he said, he really didn't like the fact that with the new system, with players aren't learning how to break out. He goes, these guys are going to go to juniors and they're not going to know how to break out of their zone. So he has some real concerns for that. He goes, these guys are going to juniors really quickly. They're going to have no clue. They won't know how to break out. They're going to have a problem. They're so good they're going to learn, but there will be a learning curve for them. That was his biggest concern.
Was he more concerned about where they can dump the puck back in and tag back up, or was he more concerned about a breakout?
Well, I think he would like to see the other team be able to shoot the puck down the ice on the penalty kill so that his team can go back, regroup, and learn to break out and come out of the zone. That, I think, is what he's looking for. So he preferred that. He would rather allow the team to ice the puck on the penalty kill. I think all the coaches, for the most part, liked the face-off in the offensive zone. Again, came back to learning how to break out. If you put it in the offensive zone, they're not going to learn how to break out. They're already in the offensive zone. So that was a major concern from some of the coaches. And what else do we have that really, kind of...
The automatic offsides.
The automatic offsides, I think, is... I will say I think it's a little more challenging for a two-man official system because at the speed of a Bantam Major game, you got to make a really quick decision, because if you don't make a quick decision, somebody could really get blown up or something. So I thought it was a little more challenging than I remember. That's me personally. There were a couple I'm like, whoa, that's a really tight play. And like, you don't have that split second to like relax, like, okay, we can go delay here. And oh yeah, offside, we got it. You got to kind of be like on it. And
I think
the little kids, it's not so bad, but the big kids, it's a little tougher.
I think Scott, just it went from, 50% speed to 100% speed. And we had such a big break that it a lot of it seems a little new. And the challenge is there. I get it, where there was a couple times in my game with my partner, we had two teams up and down the ice. I mean, it was back and forth, back and forth. Well, when you're the high official in the two official system, the bad part about that system is when the defensive team starts to put guys around the blue line or even beyond the blue line. So as that high official, you back off in order to give yourself that better angle to keep that player in your view. Well, then all of a sudden, bang, they try to shoot it out. The defenseman steps up, picks it up. Now you're standing like almost at, the center line when you should be at the blue line, but that player's forced you out and your partner's still stuck on the goal line. That's the only thing I don't like about the system. Other than that, I think it works pretty well. It's in those games. And then the worst part about the non-delayed offsides is I had quite a few plays, probably about 10 in the 5 games that I worked. I worked 6, actually. Sorry, 10. And it was at the Bantam Major level. And where a player would come in and they'd try to chip it out of their zone. And it would, it would end up to where the play would end up being a scramble. And then it would come in this far, but the defensive team would pick it up and they'd be going clear down the ice, but yet we're offsides because of that. If we had that delayed, it would just be a delayed. They'd be able to pick it up and go down the ice. That was the hardest thing, I thought.
Yeah, we had a handful where like if we had the delay offside, like this, we shouldn't have stopped play here. There was no reason to stop play
because it just came.
Everybody regrouped properly.
Like,
they did everything, and it's like, had we had any kind of delay offside, like the guy's onside, like there's no issue here. Boom.
Yeah,
so it really did change some. Yeah, it changed some things up where like timing plays, the timing is a little off. So it definitely was a little different. And I think the games went longer. In talking, you didn't think so, but I know at the rink that I worked out of, everybody we talked to, all the games were backed up, and you are adding time to the games. I don't care. These guys know what they're doing. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we get down to working house league level or silver or gold, whatever you want to call them. Like the lower levels are going to add some significant time to the games. These games are going to be an hour and a half. That's my opinion, because even the guys that know what they're doing and learn really quickly, they still are longer than they needed to be.
I didn't think it added anything because we got done at what our normal times would have been. It just.
Did you have a runner? I never had any runners. I had all really tight games. I had a lot of 1-goal games.
So I had 2 runners out of 6, but those games, all they did was finish on time, basically. The other ones, it was about 10 minutes, but the times that they were playing period wise, and I felt that they should have had another 10 minutes of ice, and I think we would have been fine.
Yeah, typically these tournaments finish and we're early and we're sitting around like waiting, like, okay, we had too much time. That was not the case here. Well, let's look. We got a lot of comments already, so I want to say hello to everybody. Welcome if you're just joining us. By the way, we do this every Wednesday at noon. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, we would appreciate it. It helps us if you could click the subscribe button and click the notification button. Carl, what's up? Almost up to 1K officials registered. Yeah, that's what I understand. We got to be right there, aren't we, Brett? You'd know better than I would, but
yes, we still need more, but yes, it's going very well.
How many of those are level 1? Are we looking at like the majority of them being level 1, or are we like 50-50? I don't think we have a lot of 2s because we didn't have much going on last year. So how many 3s and 4s do we have? Can you elaborate on that?
Like 400.
About 400 3s and 4s.
I'd say, yeah.
Buckle up your seatbelt, everybody. You're going to be busy this year.
That's just our state. That's just our state, though. So
yeah, I know.
the interesting part about with the USA Hockey is now they've made like if you're because 3 and 4 can still be virtual for this year. The 1s and 2s now have to be in classroom in person again, which is a good thing. I think those should be that way anyways. But the 3s and 4s, if you're in Utah, you can take a Chicago seminar.
Right.
So like last night Illinois had a level 3 and there were 79 officials in it. And
wow.
29 of them, I think, were out of state. I think that's what the email said.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we've had quite a few people come in from different areas, and it's actually been kind of fun because they give a little different perspective of how things are done in their area, and they ask questions pertaining to what kind of is in their area. So it's been interesting having the out-of-state visitors in our seminars. I'm not going to, I actually met an official that was an Indiana guy, and he took ours because it was convenient with his schedule. Well, apparently he comes into town like 2 weekends a month because he has family here, and he's been trying to get into officiating. So I just got him over to the people that assign stuff and said, "Hey, here's this guy's info. Contact him, let him know, get him into our system."
Yeah.
So it was,
awesome.
it was a good thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely opportunity for everybody.
Yeah.
And while we're on this subject, so. Some of us haven't had our seminar yet, because seminars are later in the year, but there is a change. I know it affected me and I didn't know how to handle this. So I think we should cover it today because it may affect some of you guys that are out there if you're not aware. And that is the game reporting system that we have. Because, I had one, I had a major penalty with a game at the end of a game, and, I was told, okay, you're going to get an email tonight. You just need to respond to it. That's what I was told. So I got the email. I responded to it. Then I was told, well, you have to go into the USA Hockey system now. It's a little different. Yep. So I didn't know about this, and Brad explained it to me a little bit before we started the show because I asked him the question. So do you want to walk us through kind of like how that works and what's expected now and the changes that everybody needs to be aware of? Because you won't find this out until you go to your seminar. And I'm sure we have some people that are watching that haven't been to their seminar yet.
All right. So the big thing is this is kind of more of our area that's affected by this. So back many moons ago, we used to have to always go to IHOA.com, log in and submit our stuff, which was actually, it brought you to the USA one, which has changed dramatically over the years. But now we have to go to that system, which is, it's fine. It's a little more complex. The one thing is, like, you're going to need to know your partner's USA Hockey number, their correct spelling of their name, or else you can't enter the game report. So if you have a game report now, make sure whoever's going to file it, you get your partner's USA Hockey number, their referee number, by the way, not their player number. If you see any part of their last name in the USA Hockey number that they give you, that's a player number.
Yeah.
Okay. A USA officiating number is just all digits, just so everybody knows. But you have to have that. You have to have the teams, their areas, where they're at, what district they're from. You have to have the player's name, which automatically populates, but you have to have the correct spelling of their name in order for them to populate up into the system.
I can't imagine if the coach writes out the roster, that's going to work out very well. It better be typed out very clearly on the game sheet.
So the big thing is you have to verify everything that you're doing. You have to know where it happened on the ice because there's a rink diagram, and you have to drag X's out onto the ice diagram. So it's a little more intense. And make sure that you hit the submit button at the end, not the save. There's a save and a submit. The save just saves where you're at. The submit actually submits it to their system. So just it's a little more complex. You have to go through your referee profile at usahockey.com. So, but I think after you go through it one time, I think everybody will be okay. We're just not used to it. So that, and again, it's our area that's changing. Everybody else that's been in these seminars, it's interesting because they're like, well, we already use this, so
And you said it's got to be within 24 hours. You have to report
Correct.
within 24 hours. So that's a little
Yep.
different. We used to have 48 hours, I believe, right? 48 hours
Yep.
before? Yeah.
Yep.
So 24 hours. All right, let's say hello to a few people. Everybody's checking in here. Chris is here. He says, I'm here, but broadcast is interrupted.
No, he's just
Interrupted for what?
Don't
Interrupted
listen to
for
him.
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? That's the only thing this
Oh,
broadcast could ever
wow.
be interrupted for.
I told you until you change the buy me a coffee to buy me
Yeah,
a
I know.
PB and J.
Our favorite scorekeeper, one of our favorite scorekeepers, just checking in. Do you have Diet Coke set? Joe Prescott, hello. All right, so hello to Joe. Yeah, absolutely. I did have a Diet Coke. I finished it, so I need another one. So send one over for me, Alan. Okay.
Hey, I must have covered that USA Hockey score thing pretty good because nobody sent me any texts
Okay.
telling me that I forgot something. So
We did 15-minute periods in Dallas, and we had 2-minute power play. Okay.
I think most
I
everybody's
think
going
that's
to play 2
that's
minutes.
all based. Yeah, I can't see like high school. I can't imagine is going to change because they're staying with all the old rules, right? So they're probably going to play
Yeah, I don't-
2-minute penalties. Even the JV, they're staying with it. Men's league staying with the same rules that they had. I can't imagine they're going down to minute and a half. So we'll see.
I can't imagine AAA hockey staying with a minute and a half. But if they do, I'll be shocked.
Yeah. Well, maybe because they only had 15-minute periods, and maybe they just wanted to see what it was like. This could have been
True.
like a test to see.
It was
Does
definitely
this really work? Is this good? I don't think it's bad, but the power plays end pretty quickly. Like
That was my shocker because the guy was
power
coming out of the
play's
box and
already
I'm like,
over.
he
He's
seems
coming.
early.
He's coming back on the ice. And let me just say this, okay? These guys are excited, and guess what? They come out of that box. They're not looking, man. They are just going to run anything over that gets in their way. Fortunately, I didn't get run over by one of them that way, but I think it was pretty close a few times for some folks. So be aware of those people coming out of the penalty box when their time is up, when they've served their minute and a half.
And a good thing with them coming out of the box, when the guy's coming out and you're standing by their bench, turn to their bench and go, is he coming to the bench or is he going to the ice?
It's a good idea.
Because if he's going to the bench, you can put your body somewhere where you're not going to be in his way.
Yeah.
You can go past the penalty door a little bit. You can go further into the zone, whatever. But just turn around and go, hey, is he coming to the ice or is he going to the bench? Because if he's coming to the ice, now you really want to stay out of his way because he's coming out with a head full of steam.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip, guys. That's a good one. So definitely something to keep you a little safer out there. Everybody, Brian checking in. Brian said Kessler. Yep.
Yeah, you got a couple of
Brett
those.
said Kessler. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Winner. Correct.
Well,
Just checking to see if you guys are paying attention. So
I think the second you said American-born player, I think that eliminates.
Yeah, and
that
one of the
out.
best. One of the best.
Yep.
He played with the Sedin twins, I believe, in Vancouver, right? And played in Anaheim.
Played.
Unfortunately, he developed some sort of a disability, like a disease or something that basically took him out of the NHL because he's still in great shape. He's a really nice guy. I know Brian had sent me, Smolchek had sent me an article that Kessler had written about painkillers in the NHL, that the NHL, a lot of the players on painkillers there, I guess. I can't say I'm surprised, but as tough as the game is, it's not a shock, that's for sure. All right, Christopher says, had no problem with players being able to break out this weekend. Yeah, break out of what, Chris? There's no breakout anymore. If they don't ice the puck down there, there's no breakout, okay? Joe Prescott says, two official system, puck on the side of your partner, you have to stay.
No, that's not. The guys are going 100 miles an hour. You can't just stand there or else you're going to be in their way. You got to drift back.
Yep.
Your partner
no
has to
doubt.
start coming from the goal line, and it becomes a dance.
He says, what does he say here? Puck on your side. Okay, I thought two official. Did he say it twice? No, he said you have to stay, and then he repeated something. Here we go. He says puck on your side. Partner should start to anticipate you leaving and move off the goal line.
And it doesn't work perfectly, because I've worked.
I know Joe's really good at
high-level
holding that. I've
guys.
worked a men's league game with Joe, and he can hold that blue line. He's good at that. But, these guys are just so friggin' big and so fast. You got to come off that line because you're going to be like you said, in their way for sure. Chris says I disagree. Games went fast. Well, I didn't say they didn't go fast. I thought, the games flew by because they were so good and so entertaining. We weren't standing there looking at the clock going, is this game going to ever end? That was never the case.
I didn't have any of that.
I didn't either. It was like, wow, that period's over already. Like, that was some really good hockey. Let's see. Joe says 961 officials registered with Iowa as of today. Thank you for that, Joe. And how many of those are level 3 or 4 if you're watching? Well, I'm sure he'll get it into the comments down there if he knows. Chris says Brad still can't get scheduled out there.
Thanks, Chris. I'll remember that when you call me and want to come into town.
Brett says USA Hockey is soon updating the way the players populate, which is the most difficult part of the process. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I'm going to find out probably the hard way, and I hope I have the information I need because I know I don't have my partner's USA Hockey number, so that's going to be interesting. So, yeah, I guess so. More work. Okay. Marty Tong says, time for our sponsor. Hey, great idea. Our sponsor is buymeacoffee.com/refroom. If you would like to support the channel, you can go there and you could buy me a coffee. You could buy Brad a coffee. You could buy Brad a beer. You can buy him a slice of pizza. You can do that for me,
whatever
too.
You're willing.
Whatever you're willing to do to help support the team, which is the channel, okay? We love that. So thank you for time for our sponsors. Carl says, more of an excuse to use the riot pad and write down details of penalty. Yeah, that's for sure.
Riot pads get expensive.
Yeah. And hard to find, right? Mr. Dawson, make all minor penalties 7 minutes long. Players will think twice.
You know what?
I don't think it'll get some of them thinking. I think they're thinking, oh, good, I'll get a break here. I'm going to go take somebody's head off. Yeah.
Let's go to the yellow card and the red card system.
Yeah. Doug says pizza. Yeah, pizza works for me. I like that idea. Brett says, as far as officials go, all you need is their state and their last name. Number will auto-populate.
Oh, see, it didn't tell us that in the seminar notes, but I believe you. Well, I haven't had to
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out today. I'll be able to update you next week. I'll find out, okay? Right. And Chris says riot pads are bad luck. Maybe that's my problem. I keep one in my pocket all the time. So.
No, that's just an old saying. So are pens, but sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's bad luck if you don't carry one all the time and you decide to put one in because you think you might need it. That might be bad luck. Okay, I would agree with that. So.
I could see that. All right, well, let's get on to this.
Let's get to we talked about late hits because this is an issue that's been going on and it's been looked at for the last couple of years. We've been trying to really get it out of the game, but there's a little more to it, and I'm going to let you kind of take it from here, Brad, and explain things because I know this is on your plate.
Yeah, well, you can interject as we go, Scott, because that's how we were doing it the other night. So. The one thing we want to talk about first is the emphasis on the stick must be below the knee for the check to be started legally, okay? The biggest part of that is, yes, we understand there's going to be a few situations where that stick might be up a little bit, but here's the emphasis that it is. You need to be able to be trying to separate that player from the puck and have an ability to play with it at the same time, okay? So the bigger emphasis is they're just giving you a nice starting point of where that stick needs to be, okay, which is great. I like that they put it on paper so you have a good idea of where it's going to be. Now, the big part that you'll say is, well, what if the player doesn't have a stick? Okay, let's emphasize again, they put it on paper. It's a great start. Can you still legally separate a player from the puck without a stick? Yes, you can. I actually physically saw two gentlemen stand up in the middle of a room at USA Hockey Congress, and they were demonstrating shoulder to shoulder on how people could separate legally without a stick. So, yes, the emphasis is there, but the player needs to be making a legal play at the puck in order to separate the player from the puck. So that's the biggest number one thing. Number two is, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, And when they did their demonstration, were they hip to shoulder, or did they have hands come out somehow? Because
they had all kinds of things going on. It was very enlightening to see that there were two sides of this talk, and one was over here and one was over here, and they physically decided that they were going to get up and figure it out. Like it was definitely something. But so the emphasis on the stick being below the knee and all that. Well, the good tip with the stick being, if it's above the knee, guess what? Where those players' hands are? They're up. So they're going to be making contact with those hands. So the second you see the stick up, hello, look up. Okay, because that hit's not going to probably be in order to play the puck. Their hands are already up in the air. So think about where your stick level is as you're making a hit. If it's above the knee already, you're probably not going to have a clean hit. Just it's a little tip point. So it's just the first start of the process. Yep. So when the hit happens, you can start out great with your shoulder, but yet the second you come out and then you use the stick to extend with your hands, guess what? You've now made that an illegal hit. So they're looking to get rid of the use of the hands on the hits, the high hits. They're trying to, because let's face it, we've had head contact now for 15 years, and it still happens all the time. Yeah. And how does it happen? 99% of the time with the player's hands coming up and making contact with their head. So if this part with the stick starts to eliminate the head contact, it's going to change the entire game, and maybe some of the other rules will change as we go. Okay, so after you watch those hands, we're looking to eliminate what's known as the blow-up hit. And what's the blow-up hit? The guy comes down the ice, Dustin Byfuglien style, is coming at him, hits him, the puck goes 50 feet past the guy that hits the guy. Well, guess what? If you ever watch those hits, 99.9% of the time, the stick is above the knee, they use their hands, and the guy's just going to punish the guy. That's the next part. Punishment. Checking is not allowed to punish your opponent. If you're punishing your opponent in any way, shape, or form, if they're defenseless and you punish them with a hit, it's a penalty. If they're engaged with another opponent up against the boards and you come in as the third player and rock them, it's a penalty.
That's a real easy one now, guys, and you do see it. Two guys are over there, and they can't get the puck off the boards, and somebody just decides to step up and, I'll take care of this. Mm-mm.
Yep. And then the final part, this late hit part, okay? The late hits is what we all referred to as when we played the game. If you've played in the past 20 years before these last 2 years.
Finishing your check.
The old term, finishing your check. And you know what? I had a player in a Bantam Major game, finishes check, drills the guy into the boards. I mean, just lays him out. Like, Put my arm up on the way to the box. He goes, I was just finishing my check. And I go, and you just sold your penalty to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so the late hits, they want to remove anything that's avoidable to a player. If the onus is on the player making the hit, yes. They want to remove where that player has any chance to try and turn their body to get away from that hit. Or even, there's going to be some hits that are going to happen that aren't going to be very big, but you'll be able to tell that player held up. They stood up straight in order to not make that hit. And we're still going to have body contact on those plays. So you have to differentiate what is a late hit, finishing your check, and then what is body contact after the fact that, they were still trying to go for that hit, but we have to be a little bit sympathetic. If that player's trying to hold up and they don't wreck them or, cause any punishing hit, that's the hard part, I think, that officials are going to have, to where that body contact happens after the fact, where it's not a check, but it's still body contact. So some people are going to have to feel their way through that. The coaches are going to have to feel their way. The referees are going to have to work our ways through it. So just be mindful of it. The big thing, it's kind of funny, Brett just put in here what I was going to wrap this up with. So go ahead.
In simple terms, in USA hockey, the primary purpose of a body check shall be to gain possession of the puck. Anything else is a penalty.
Bingo. You couldn't say it any better.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Brett.
Yeah. And, guys that are in vulnerable positions, a guy is facing the boards or the glass, and you think even if you get him with the hips and the shoulders that he's fair game at that point, you are mistaken. These guys have got to back off. I mean, you're going to end up just putting one of these guys in a wheelchair with one of those types of plays. And when you turn around and you tell the coach, well, the onus is on your player not to do that. They don't get it. Too rough. One coach, his guy open hands in the corner area,
up against
4
the glass.
4 feet away from the boards, and he buries this guy, and he's like, "Oh, too rough for you? Yeah, too rough for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. I had a guy ask me. I called him one, and it's one of the finishing their checks, and he's like, "We're gonna do this all year." I go, "Well, if you guys figure it out, I won't have to put my arm up anymore." But yeah, all year. So it's just it's interesting, and the flavory soup.
Flavory soup says to me, this doesn't sound like a big change as long as the hands are down. 95% of the time, that means the stick is down too. Well, yes and no, I guess. So the change is you can't just punish the player because you want to punish him, even if you get him with the shoulders to the hips. You still got to be separating him from the puck. Okay, I mean, you can't just go hit the guy because you want to hit him, and you can't hit him, shoulders tip when he's in a vulnerable position. That's still going to be a problem. I mean, they're trying to get that stuff out. It's all safety concern. Let's see what else he says. He says
players are too big and too fast.
I'm just not seeing the difference between this and that standard that they introduced 2 years ago.
It's the same standard.
Yeah. I think there's more emphasis on it. Yeah, and they changed some of the wording too, I think, a little bit. Maybe you can elaborate on that, but
personally, I'm going to say this. I personally think they really worded it actually quite well.
Yeah.
In the rule book. I don't, I know I've seen them sitting there, talking about it, and they, are sitting there, they hand out like a copy of it to everybody. And it says on there, this is not an official, like document or something, in grayscale in the back. And they sit there and they go through it word by word. And then people give their opinions, and then they kind of then vote on it. I forget how it exactly works. Like they vote on it in the room, then it has to go back to the rules committee for final wording. And I was just flawed by they were up in the middle of the room bumping into each other. I thought it was very enlightening. I enjoyed it.
Did they videotape that so everybody can see what their perspective was on this? That would have been kind of interesting to share that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say the biggest treat that I got is I got to go to all these different meetings that were going on.
Yeah.
Now I'm really not, I'm not an active participant. I'm just an observer at that point. Boy, there was a lot
Isn't that what referees do? They observe. Aren't we observers?
Yes, but there was a lot of great information just floating around the room. And then, to be able to, stop somebody that just was in that meeting, they were all receptive. If you wanted to talk, they would stand there and talk to you for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour. Or they'd say, hey, I don't have time. Can we meet up later today? I got a break. I'm going to something else. Can we meet up and we'll grab an appetizer together real quick? It was such an enlightening experience. I know not everybody's going to be able to go to it, but I wish more people could go to it and come back and speak good things about it, because they really do have everything to where they're focused on the players, the games, our best interests, everybody's best interest. So it's quite a collaborative of events that it's really mind-boggling when I think about it. I was there for the entire thing, and I'm going to tell you this, I probably don't even remember half of it because they throw so much information at you at once. So, but it was a lot of fun, so I can't speak anything bad about it. I had a good time. So,
well, Chris has a comment. He said, I had 2 bench minor penalties for banging the boards after a hit. Well, that's a good point. I'm just curious, Chris, did you go over and warn the bench at any time or warn both teams before you put them into a penalty situation, or did you just go straight to a penalty? Maybe you can put that in the comments and let us know. What's your thoughts on that, Brad?
Well, I think that's going to be a growing point. The officials, here's my take on it, is how it's written, is, where you're watching a movie or whatever, and a guy gets hit in front of the other team's bench, and then the whole bench feeds him and yells at him and bangs on the boards like, hurrah. That's the part they're trying to get rid of, not a clean hit. You're still allowed to cheer for a goal. Like, it's going to be tough for us to figure it out, especially now, because I don't think that was probably getting called too much during our timeout. So we're going to have to work with it.
All right. Chris says, I didn't warn them. They've had 2 years of being warned. All right. I had two teams that had a couple, a few cheers when they probably shouldn't have. I went over and just talked to the coach real quick in the bench, and I did the same to the other team to give them a warning, and that just settled things down. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, I got it. Sorry about that. They just came back to hockey. It's the start of the season for them. I think in that situation, I think we need to be human to some degree. I know USA Hockey doesn't want that, and I understand that, and I agree. But I think, a warning in that situation, gives you a little more credibility than just banging them immediately. That's just me. That's how I handle it. I know some of the other officials didn't. They just went over and penalized them. And, yep, they're right. It's by the book. I get it. If you call it, if you were my partner and you called it, I'd live with it too. I got no problem with it. You're right. It is.
Yeah, no.
Just for me, I'd rather go over and try to work that out. These are good teams. They're really intense. They're playing hard. I just feel like we need to be a little human with them in that situation and not just bang them to bang them. That's me.
No, I hear you.
All right, we had some comments coming in here. I knew we would.
Yeah. Of course.
Joe Prescott, current numbers, 429 level 1, 102 level 2, 263 level 3, and 109 level 4. All right, Joe, so are those people that have completed, or are those people that are registered but not necessarily completed at this point? I'm curious. Maybe you could respond to that. And he's
Scott,
yeah.
Just so I'm not sure who gave Joe the numbers.
Oh, okay. Should I put them back up so everybody can see what?
Well, there's a little tab. There's a little tab that you have to click that includes the seminar instructors in your numbers. So the numbers are 429, 104, 285, and 142.
Okay, so we got more level 4s and a few more of
everything.
So that's good.
There's about 400 level 3s and level 4s.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's, you got to push that little. The level 2s, just like Joe
said, every area in our nation has a low number of level 2 registrations. That makes perfect sense because there really wasn't anything happening last year. That's just the way it is.
Well, it's going to be low.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's low because, let's say we get 600 officials that are level 1s this season. We'll get maybe 100 of them to come back.
Yeah. Well, numbers across the country, from what I'm hearing from everybody, are low. I mean, all the teams that were in town, they're all saying they're having a tough time getting referees. They're getting ones out there. They're getting ones, but the numbers are definitely down. Like if you are an experienced ref, you're valuable to somebody.
Well, how many? Here's the one thing that I'll say is, Scott, and me and you had the rehab after your leg after you broke it. How hard was it for you to come back?
Oh.
Some people have not skated for 16 months.
Well, I think
they may get on the ice and say, I don't even want to try to do this anymore.
I think the best line I heard after I came back was from Dave Zednick. Dave goes, "You look like you're down a quart of oil."
That's pretty good.
Moving as well. Yeah, that was a pretty good line, Dave. I'll give you that one. It's very hard. I think, okay, so Brad, you're a lot younger than I am, but you're still not one of the young chickens out there anymore either.
No, not anymore.
You're not a 20-something. If you're a 20-something and you take a few months off, yeah, you come back real quickly. But, if you're one of the senior guys, senior official that's been working for a number of years, And I'm just going to say, even if you're over 40 or 45 and you take a season off and you want to come back, boy, I hope you really did a lot of off-ice training and you're in really good shape, because you're going to be in for an eye-opening experience, especially if you come back to anything with any kind of level of intensity. I think the games are more intense than they were 2 years ago. That's my personal opinion. I think the game is getting faster every year. Yeah, I'm getting older, but the game is getting faster. These guys are bigger and stronger. When you look at him, you go, oh my gosh, that kid is 14 years old. That kid is like 6'4", and he's like 200 pounds, and he's a rock. He's not a plump kid. He's like this.
Scott, they're sitting there. They're doing off-ice weight training now. They're doing all this other stuff, plus advances in equipment. Just think about how light equipment is now compared to what it was even 10 years ago. Like, I found a pair of skates that I had in high school, and I had one, and I brought it here to my house. I threw them away after it, but like, who's going to want these? But I held one in my hand, and I had my two vapors in my other hand, and the one in my hand was heavier than both of my other two by like double or triple. Yeah. Like, I know it doesn't seem like much, but think about what all the weight that we're carrying.
You know, guys used to put 2 pounds of weight on their ankles to skate with, to strengthen up and try to get faster, or, you know, they put a weighted vest. You know, these teams are doing that on a regular basis. They you know, they have the ropes with all the putting the strain on these guys so they can't go as hard and forcing them to go harder. And they do all kinds of stuff for that strength training that's just unbelievable. And these guys are... So if you're, you know, the bottom line, if you're 45 and you took a season off...
It's rough.
Good luck to you. It's going to take you 6 or 8 months to come back, I have a feeling, if you're really serious about it and you're, you know, I hope you did some training. It's not going to be easy, guys.
If you were just picking up games, you know, to, you know, hang out at the rink every once in a while, maybe you did, like, you know, maybe you do like a game Saturday morning and a game Sunday morning. Okay, let's say you make $60 a game, right? It's $120. That's only, you know, what, $480 in a month if you do that consistently. How many guys have then looked at it and gone, you know, it's only $480. Like, I don't need to get involved in this anymore. So I think we're going to have some of that trickle down. You know, it's just difficult.
Because they got to pay for your equipment. You know, you're taking a Saturday or a Sunday that you're losing. You know, it's maybe one of your 1 or 2 days off you have a week. Yeah, guys are going to look at it differently, no doubt. Yep. But again, the game is getting faster. I'll tell you, after I came back from that broken leg and I went and did a JV game, I used to, honestly, I'd like JV, like, yeah, no big deal, okay? Like, got this piece of cake. I thought I was going to die out there. I'm like, one of these guys is going to kill me, okay? That's how you feel. That's the difference when you've taken that time off and you're trying to get back, get your speed back, get your legs back, be able to get your push back. It takes some time. You're not going to do it if you're doing 2 games a week or 4 games a week. You're not going to get back in shape for that. That's my opinion.
Well, Scott, we can talk about an official that he refereed when I started refereeing. It was his second year already. He was my age. So he started when he was 14 and he stopped. It's probably about 10 years now. He stopped for about 5 years and he came back and he was excited about it. You know, great. You know, he used to work, you know, high school with us. He'd work down at the United Center and the women's game, the women's red game, or however they classify it, but the varsity game down there. And he worked all kinds of state championships over the years. And he came out, it was September or October. I think it was like the first week of October. And he came out and he worked 2 high school varsity games with me. And he lined both of them. And after we got done, he turned to me and he said, "This isn't for me anymore." He goes, "They are too fast."
Yeah.
He goes, "This has gotten so much faster." He goes, "In the short time that I've been gone," he's like, "I'm done." And he didn't referee after that anymore. He was terrified. Like, and the hard part is, you know, is a friend of mine. So, you know, I don't want to see him quit, but when I saw him on the ice, he was like a deer in headlights the entire game. And I had refereed with this guy more times than I could even count. And I could tell he was terrified.
I get it. I get it. And
so,
the guys are so big and so fast. And this is why I keep going back and saying, to coaches, coaches need to teach their players that when they want to go make that big hit across the ice or whatever, they need to make sure that the ref is not behind the guy he's going to hit, because somebody's going to get seriously hurt. It's going to happen. I mean, these guys are that big and that strong at age 14. They are grown men. They're grown men. What'd you say?
I said, I just wait till they're coming across, and if it looks like I'm going to be behind them, I just choose left or right.
Yeah, you have to, and you got to be aware. But I'm just saying, the hits. You're down in the corner working a corner. You're in your, you're in your golden triangle, and you're doing your movement. There's a lot of activity down there. There's a lot of hits coming. You got to be aware, especially like lining like a varsity game or. Lining
standing on that blue line.
Stand on that blue line. You can call that thing the golden, whatever you want, a golden rectangle, all you want.
There you go.
And, you've got your safety valve. You better have your eyes open and your skates moving, because you stand there flat-footed, something bad's going to happen.
You're right.
Yeah.
And sometimes
it's tough.
Sometimes skating towards the hit is a better option than skating trying to stay in front of it. It's the old theory of, if you're cutting down a tree that's 100 feet tall, as it's falling, do you want to try and run away, or do you want to try and run to where there's going to be less point of impact, because that tree's 100 feet tall, but the branches also go 60 or 70 feet out. So I don't think you're going to be able to outrun it. So sometimes going into the zone isn't the best play. Sometimes as that hit comes in, you make your call, and you got to sneak past that hit as it's coming at you and go away from it. So sometimes running at the tree is better than running away from it.
I agree. Sometimes just scooting up on them, it makes a difference. All right, we got some more comments in here, so let's see. I think we left off. Okay, Chris. I'm not banging them to bang them. Eventually, they need to be held accountable, not constantly being talked to. Okay, look. You're right. It's the rule. I agree. Not going to disagree with you, Chris. I know you know what you're talking about. Joe Prescott said, sadly, every area has a huge uptick in level 4. Sadly, well, we can go down that road. I mean, I get where Joe's coming from, and I think you probably have, I want to be politically correct here as much as I can, but I think you've had a lot of people that they need refs. And I think a lot of people have been pissed off, to put it politely, over the years, and maybe feel like they didn't get a fair shake or whatever, because the skating test that they take is objective. It's not, you're not taking a test that's like, this has a number to it and it's precise and it's the same for everybody.
Well, that's not 100% true. Because the time,
it's objective, right?
Hold on. The only thing about it is the timed part. Okay.
The time
is, if you can't make the timed part, all right, and I'll just going to point this out. If you can't make it in the timed part to get any of the points, and you get 0 points,
right,
you probably aren't within the skating test. And we see to where people get 0 points many times and they don't pass. Okay, so that's the biggest thing is
that's
that
fair. But you have guys that get 1 or 2 points and they're still failed.
Well, also there's no opinion on their skating in the timed part either. You can train wreck it down the ice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we've had guys, and I can tell you this just watching them before. One year, we had a young man. He was about 22, 23. He could barely turn left or right. But yet, all of a sudden, at the timed part, where he looked like nothing, the guy was up and down the ice. He was the fastest guy out there.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do a controlled turn. He couldn't do a 3-point pivot. You know, I mean, it was quite the thing. And then all of a sudden, go just skate as fast as you can. I mean, he was up and down the ice.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to give you my opinion, and
Go
I'm
ahead.
sure some
You're
of you
good.
guys will disagree with me. You know, Joe, you may even disagree, and you're a senior official as well. But I think the test, it's a little bit discriminatory towards the older officials. That's my opinion. You know, you do have young guys that are 18 that have come out of playing, but they don't know anything about reffing. They have no experience. But yeah, they can make the time portion real easily. So this is just my opinion. You know, I just put it out there. So I just think maybe they've, with what's been going on, I don't think they want to offend any more officials, and it's not worth it. The schedulers know what you can do. They know they're going to put you where you belong. They're not going to put you on a midget AAA game if they don't think you can skate that game. And, good for them. I'm glad that they know that, or hopefully they know that. I know in our area, I think they pretty much know everybody and know what they can do, which is great, because you'd be putting somebody out there that could really get hurt. And that's the last thing we need. So, kudos. Those guys know what they're doing. So, I trust the schedulers as far as that goes. But I just think that's kind of my opinion. I don't think they want to offend anybody else and turn people off, because I think that has been, being in the locker rooms, you hear stuff over the course of years, and I think that's something that I have heard a couple times before. What about you, Brad?
Chris made an excellent point about the level 3 and the 4.
Let's see. Let's get to those. Okay. All right. That was Joe. So Joe also said the complete versus not complete are not available at this time. Okay.
Yeah,
Flavory
he
Soup
means by
said,
the
I love being the
registrations.
young guy. 11 games this weekend. Yeah. Youngster.
I did 6, but I decided to take Sunday off.
I did 5, but I only put in for 2 days, and I love the games I got. Thank you very much. I had great hockey.
I did too. I worked 1 Friday and 5 Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I worked 3. I worked 2 and
There
3.
you
I
go.
figured I better build up to 3 of them. So I did.
Wow.
Brad, that story you just told now shows why it's so important to get young guys involved in officiating and also retaining them, not just getting them to a seminar once. Yeah, well, I think that's why he's doing what he does with the ADP and puts all that time and effort into it. And, I think that's what all the officials do. I mean, if you're a supervisor, or you're not even a supervisor, or if you see a guy out there that you work with that you think is really good or like has a lot of potential, you need to reach out to somebody. Reach out to a scheduler. Reach out to Brad. Reach out to somebody and say, hey, this guy has potential, or this girl has potential. They need to get into a program or get looked at and get some spots. And, I've had that before where I've skated with some people, or I've gone out to evaluate one of their games, and I was impressed. This guy needs, or this girl needs to work some higher level stuff and get some opportunity, because some of these people are really good and they just need to be looked at.
Scott, that's an excellent point. There are a lot of senior officials, and I don't mean age-wise, everybody. There's officials that have been around the game that have played or that have officiated for quite some time. Once you start to get to know everybody, it's a small community. If you do spot somebody, though, that is, very talented or has this or something, they can skate or something that you notice, okay, that means that they're probably doing something that deserves them to be moved upon. So you could say something, that official may only skate at the one arena that you happen to be at. And that's the only place they go because it's close to home. They don't realize that they can go further. They don't realize the opportunities that can come with it. So they just skate their games or whatever. Well, one person saying one good thing to somebody in what you would call the upper levels, the people that are looking at stuff and reporting back, if you get a good word in on that person then can be asked, hey, are you interested in moving on and working this and that, and possibly, working playoffs when they roll around and stuff. They may not even realize what the opportunities are in officiating. And just that simple email or a simple phone call or text with something kind about an official can really change the course of their officiating.
Yeah. There was a guy across the border that I know would be such a good referee. He knows hockey. He played AAA, played like juniors, played high school. He's young. He's in his 20s, can skate like the wind, understands the game. And it's like, dude, finish out. Get into the ADP. Like, go finish your test. Finish what you need to do. You'd be really good at it. We need guys like that. I'm still a big fan, and I say it all the time. Even the men's league guys, if you play men's league hockey and you got some friends that, you're playing in the B League or something, somewhere good, and, one of your buddies might be starting to age out a little bit, but he knows hockey. He's been around for a long time. What is he, 35, 40 years old? Mention reffing to him. I mean, those guys are golden because they can skate the game. They understand the game. They've been around the game. They can handle tough situations. They're not going to crack under the pressure of somebody yelling, "Oh, ref, you suck." Nobody wants to hear that. But the fact of the matter is they can deal with it. They can get through it. And I think those are guys that we need to get into the program.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah, I know.
You got a delivery.
Yeah, that's the postman always rings twice. No, it's the ring going off. But yeah, it was the postman.
Well,
yeah, so let's go through the comments real fast because I know we're kind of out of time now.
Yeah, we're out of time, and I think that's a good thing to end on.
Karen says objective, not influence, but personal opinion. Okay. Chris says the only point to be level 4 is to work nationals. If you can't skate, you don't belong in level 4 and definitely shouldn't be getting nationals. Okay. Steve says the skating part is 1/3 of making level 4. Well, and also correct. You got to know the rules and everything else too. Steve Drews, exactly. Mike Wagner says, I have guys like that. Yeah, I know you got guys like that, Mike. What, guys that are level 4s that are more like level 2s? Or, you got a good 2 that's more like should be a level 4? So who knows? He also says, I forwarded their names and never got a call. Okay, I don't know anything about that because that's not in my pay grade. Flavory Soup says, I think a lot of it is people don't want to deal with the BS that comes with being a ref and also don't want the pressure. And I think you're absolutely right. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I mean, I've seen even when we've had, mentor programs and I've been out and mentored some people, you could pretty much tell if they're, like they have what it takes, like on the inside, like, can you handle this? And you have some guys that you're like, skated 2 games with them. Think it's going to be a little tough for them. You'll know. Yeah, you can see it.
For you.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
It's not for everybody.
My dad thought I was going to quit in a week. Yeah. 23 years later.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that.
I have paid for my hockey multiple times if he would have charged me.
Flavory Soup 39 says, see you at Wheaton this weekend, Brad.
Yeah.
He's looking for you. Is he looking for you in the parking lot or is he looking for you on the ice is the question.
Yeah, on the ice.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was a good.
Well, enjoyed that. That was fun, guys. Thanks for all the participation, for you guys putting all the comments in. We certainly appreciate it. Love you guys and girls. And we will see you next Wednesday. We do this every Wednesday at noon. If there's a subject that you'd like us to talk about or have a guest on, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to look at that. And, we love, seeing videos from you guys and the participation from everybody. So we thank you for that. You guys are really special that way, and girls, of course. Don't forget, you can support the channel, buymeacoffee.com/refroom. That's buymeacoffee.com/refroom.
Yeah.
And,
hey, that's good. I had a good time, I'm not going to lie. And after this weekend, because this weekend's going to be, somebody should send us some sort of email. Something crazy should happen in one of your games.
I'm sure. Well,
it's going to be a busy weekend.
I will look forward to seeing whatever you have for next Wednesday, okay? I look forward to a couple phone calls this week. Brad
All right,
and I
sounds
have
good.
I'm telling you, man, I get the best gig with this because Brad and I have some unbelievable conversations. A lot of them start at 1 o'clock in the morning. Phone rings at 1. I know who it is.
It's more like midnight.
Yeah, more
Well,
like
I know
1.
you're off, but we're both off the ice.
Yeah, I know.
So that's
I
the
know.
big thing.
But
So,
yeah,
all right.
or those long rides back from hockey or the golf course and the phone rings. It's like, oh, good, we get somebody to get us home for an hour here. So
Yep.
yeah, so if you're not talking to your fellow officials, guys, get to know some of these people. These guys are great guys to hang out with. They love hockey. They're just as passionate about hockey as you are. And they're passionate about, the rules and the game and making it better and making it more enjoyable and keeping it safe and all the same things that you share. I'd love to see more socialization within the referee community and having those golf outings, which Jack is the one that put those together. What a wonderful idea. And those have been great days. And I'd like to see us do more of that stuff. I mean, last year we had 2 outings. I only saw 1 on the books for this year. I'm sure we're going to do it again next year. But, these are great things. So if you guys have an idea, even for something to kind of get everybody together, on an I'd say an off night, so we're not taking everybody out on a Saturday or Sunday when we need everybody working for hockey. That'd be great. And, we'd love to hear some ideas of what you think we could do to, build the community of the referees and, even referees, coaches, players, and fans. I mean, that's what the show is all about. So with that, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thanks for joining us. You got anything else?
No, I'm just so glad that, I said to one of the coaches last Saturday, he's like, how's it going? I turned to him, I said, I'm just glad that we're actually back in the rink.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're telling me. And then, there was a coach in game 4 or 5, and he comes out and he's been coaching at that level for many, many years. And he turns to me, he goes, another year? You're here again, another year. I go, well, you didn't go anywhere. I go, I'm not going anywhere either. So it was nice to see some people that I didn't see, last season. So, but it was good. So that camaraderie is still there.
And, the other thing, seeing these teams come out with the level of spirit and conditioning and everything they have. I mean, I know a lot of guys, there weren't as many games last year with what was going on with the timeout, but a lot of these guys worked on skills and worked on developing and worked on off ice, and it shows this year. Like,
Yep.
I mean, that was when you think like the beginning of the year. Normally, we think, oh, okay, it's going to be a little chill. It won't be too fast paced. Oh no, these guys are in midseason form. They're raring to go, man. These boys are pumped up, and girls, they are pumped up, ready to play. So have fun out there, take some games, and we'll see you next Wednesday, everybody. On behalf of myself and Brad